Okay. Right. Well, thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us this evening for our brief presentation. I do appreciate you giving up your time. The intention we have this evening is to spend about 10 minutes going through a little bit of background and history and a little bit of information about our product and how we intend to take that to market. And so I will start off by just telling you a little bit about our company and introduce us. So the company was first formed in 2009. This is Road Ahead UK Limited, and the express purpose of the company was to make sure that we could take an idea which I developed whilst I worked as an elected leasing councillor with responsibility for highways maintenance to a product that we could take to market. So our company has two directors. Sitting next to me is my father, Malcolm Lobley, who works as a secretary, and I'm the managing director of the company. So to date, we have invested £100,000 in the business, which is a mixture of equity investment and grant funding, which came from Yorkshire Forward. To the next slide. About the market. Well, the market for our product is enormous. In the UK alone, last year, £110 million was spent just on filling potholes. This is not road resurfacing, this is simply filling potholes. And that was 2 million potholes filled by local authorities across the UK, which is up from 1.7 million in 2011. So as you can see from that, it's an enormous market, and it's also a growing market. In fact, each local authority averaged last year about 16,000 pothole repairs. So it's a big business for each local authority, and that was up from just under 12,500 in 2011. These statistics, by the way, come from the Asphalt Industry Alliance, who do an annual survey, so and a report called the Alarm Report that we're interested in looking at that on the web. Also importantly, and a big cost for local authorities, was the £32 million paid out last year in compensation claims to road users, that's both pedestrians and also vehicle drivers, damage caused by pothole repair. And this is really quite a significant budget line item for most councils, and a growing worry in this particularly litigious culture that we live in. So you can see, hopefully, it's a massive and growing market, and that's before we even start to take a look abroad. Roads in the UK were resurfaced at the moment on average every 54 years, and in Wales the figure is a staggering 107 years at the current resurfacing rate. So hopefully you can see from that that reactive maintenance, i.e. pothole repair, is very much the method of the present, and also is going to be the method of the future, as local authority budgets are squeezed from national government spending freezes, and also from the ever-increasing costs that council experience in other areas such as social care, which they have a legal obligation to spend money on. So pothole repair is big business. It's going to be even bigger business into the future, and that's going to change for the foreseeable. So where have we got to? We started off in the winter of 2009 trialling our concept, and this really was a very basic concept that we carried out. We picked a site on the entrance to a busy truck yard at a point that trucks drove over, accelerated and braked and turned over all day in, day out, so we could trial the concept out and give it the maximum amount of pressure as a solution, see how well it stood up. And as you can see from the pictures there, we very roughly chipped out a hole because we didn't have our prototype machine at that point. We poured in a tar emulsion sealant. If I'm being honest with you, that was not the right consistency of sealant, certainly not the one we planned to use. And then into that we put a tarmac block, which we formed by making a mould, putting in hot asphalt, and then literally driving over it with a vibrating road roller. So this was really a very basic job, and the block was a reasonably approximate fit with some gaps around the edges. So bottom right there, you can see the block in place. You might recognise this gentleman sitting next to me. It was a rough and ready repair. Now, the great thing is 3.5 years on, this repair is not only still in place, but it is the best tarmac in the local area. But because of the fabulous properties of tarmac, as you apply pressure to it, it's malleable. So the small gaps around the edges from this very rough installation filled out with the pressure of the trucks driving over the top of it. So there's no way this block is going anywhere. 3.5 years on, it was better than the day that we put it in. So we're absolutely convinced that this is a working solution. And once these blocks are in, there is no way they are going anywhere. So the next slide, our prototype system. We've got some more detailed pictures coming up in a moment, but for the time being, at top left, there's a picture of our machine, actually on some fairly decent tarmac. We were chopping a hole in there just to demonstrate to somebody. Top right there is the machine partway through a cut. You can see the straight edge, the flat base, and the radius corners that the machine can cut out with the cutting head. I'll show you shortly. Bottom left and bottom right, this is the mould that a heavy engineering company made for us, and they applied 400 tons of pressure to the block to produce that smart-looking block to the right-hand side there. So I shall move on to the next slide. This is a more close-up picture of the machine in action with some of our guys there. As I say, this machine is not like the machine that we will be rolling out to customers. This was a test bed that we were using, that we could make adjustments to all the different variables, speed of cutter, advance rate, such like, so that we could work out how the final system would operate. On to the next slide. This is a close-up of some of the workings. The final production version we'll make will be hydraulic powered, but this testbed machine that we created here, as I say, enabled us to adjust all the variables. So it was powered by electric motors with gearboxes for the movement. It's an outer frame with an inner frame in it. The inner frame contains a petrol engine, and the cutting head puts at 400 revolutions per minute when it's geared down, with a heavy flywheel to dampen vibration. And then we've got the inverters for the electric motors to move the central pod within the frame and the XYZ motions. Sorry, that's a mobile phone going off. Should have been switched off. The next slide is of our picture of our cutting head. We worked with a company called Bingham International, who are world leaders in road planing systems. This is the first type of cutting head they've done, which is intended to mill and drill. This is actually a real innovation, something which has not been tried before. So this is part of the patent application we have in place. So moving on to the next slide. What did our prototype show us? Well, it showed us that we can cut a very accurate hole with lat sides and base, which could, I do apologise, which could be milled with our cutter design. There is also an optimum speed for the advance rate of the cutter to make sure that there's a nice clean cut, but also that heat doesn't build up. We also found out that our pre-manufactured tarmac block will very definitely stay in the hole, regardless of the weather conditions, as was proven by our very early and very rough experiment. And it also showed us that there's the ability to link blocks by putting a block in the ground and then partially milling through it again and putting another one in. This is where you may have a few potholes in close proximity and you want to put these blocks in. So in fact, that links those blocks together. What it also showed us was some issues that we need to address with our final machine. The machine needs to be much more compact than the unit which we created, and it needs to be very sturdy as well. There's a lot of vibration. It's a very violent process. It's milling tarmac, and so we need to keep vibration very much in control. This is a heavy-duty engineering process that we will be carrying out. We also believe as well the ideal mounting will be either a bobcat, and there's pictures later on of those JCB mini digger, which you'd be familiar with, I'm sure. Another self-propelled maneuverable vehicle is a possibility, or alternatively the high-ab lifting arm on the back of a flatbed truck, which could be used to apply the weight of the truck onto the profiles to keep in place. We also found out as well that it's very important when we're manufacturing the blocks not just to apply pressure. 400 tons of pressure alone on a single block is not enough. It needed pressure as well as vibration in order to make a very compact block. It would then allow us to vacuum lift these using a high ab arm, so there's no heavy lifting for the road crew, which obviously would otherwise raise some health and safety concerns. So, what do our customers want? They want to get away from repeatedly repairing the same potholes. Employees of managers in highways departments are under pressure from politics to make sure that money isn't wasted, and an awful lot of money is currently wasted doing short-term quick fixes in order to prevent the council from getting sued, which they then have to repair often several times and then go back and do a very expensive repair on using a cutting saw and hot rolled asphalt. Very slow, very expensive process. So they want something which is fast, near permanent, and which is cheap. And from the councils we've spoken to, they don't believe that there's anything on the market which currently fits the bill for that, which is why we've had such enthusiasm from the council we've been consulting with about our solution. They're interested in innovation, they tell us, but if I'm being honest, they're also very keen on familiar materials. They understand tarmac, they know skid resistance, they know the safety properties, they know it will wear at a similar rate to the surrounding material in the road. This is not some fancy wonder material that's going to have to go through some transport research laboratory testing. This is something they completely understand, and so it provides a real level of reassurance for them. They want a wieldy system. I was asked by somebody earlier on actually what wieldy, a not unwieldy system, maybe I should have said, which is compatible with existing vehicles. So something which can be either lifted off the back of one of those existing trucks, or if it's a bobcat, it can be driven off the back of the trailer, towed around by one of the existing vehicles. It needs to be maintainable on a daily basis by the crews without expensive maintenance contracts for day-to-day swapping of wearing parts. And it needs to be tough enough to cope with unsympathetic users. This thing is going to get dropped off the back of a truck at some point. It's got to survive that, so it's got to be tough, and that's going to be designed in. It also has to be ideally automated in its action, which is our plan. So this would be a press button job. Set it going, it does its job, and then hit the block and move on. And it needs to involve minimal heavy lifting. Local authorities, as with any employer, have a duty of care for their staff. Can't have them lifting heavy things all day. The council with whom we consulted told us that they would like us to start off with a 500 millimetres, that's a half a metre square block, 60 millimetres deep. So it goes through the wearing surface of the road and sits firmly on the base of the road. We would be looking in the future to have different size blocks as were demanded by our customers. But for the time being, as the first size of block, this is a bit of a mid-take market, and that's what they recommended to us. We're also keen on the ability to track and record repairs. So our system incorporates a system which was developed with a company called Masternaut, and they helped us to be able to scan our materials so we can prove that customers are using our materials, track the repairs using GPS and provide them with an independent report to prevent them getting sued by vexatious claimants. So they were most enthusiastic about that. So just a couple of pictures to finish off before we go to the Q&A session. Typical sorts of vehicles that you might see used by a highways maintenance authority. So flatbed truck with a high ab arm, which, as I said, could be used to hold the machine down if that's the customer's solution. Self-propelled machine, we won't be working on this just now, but it's definitely an opportunity for the future. Mini digger with attachment on the end, driven by the hydraulics, which will require some development. And then finally, the one which we're most interested in starting off with, which is an attachment to a bobcat machine. These are regularly hired out by councils. They're familiar with them, they're comfortable with them. Here, shown on bottom left, I'll just circle that in yellow. This is a cutting drum on an attachment to a bobcat machine, which is currently available on the market. So our machine would not be dissimilar in terms of the surrounding packaging, the way it works, but with our innovative milling and drilling head and XYZ axis movements on there. So this is not beyond the realms of possibility. This is engineering which can be adapted, can be achieved, and can be made reliable. So that finishes our presentation. I'm sorry it's always a bit of a quick rush through with these things, but then we'll move on to questions. So if anyone has any questions, please do let us know. We will try and respond as quickly as we can to them. Yeah, somebody typing. Right, okay. Thanks very much for that. The way in which we've come to our valuation for the company of £1 million, as you'll be aware, we don't have the years of history. We can't do a simple multiplier effect on years of turnover, which we could do were this not developing a new innovative product. So what we've done is we've taken a look at the future market potential. We've taken a look at other businesses, particularly those which have been successful in their pitches on CrowdCube, and taken a look at their future projections, and those two things together, we've pulled together to come up with the valuation. So we certainly hope when we take a look at our cash flow forecast, our plans for dividends, and the future market potential, you see that £1 million is not unreasonable when we can get this machine to market. So next question comes from Phil Baker. Thank you, Phil. How many people does it take to operate the machine? The intention is that it would be one person operating the machine. It would be a press button activity, set it in place, either the operative of the Bobcat or standard machine, set the machine going. It would mill the pothole out. So there would be a combination of vacuuming and shoveling of the milled material, and then the placement of the machine with block. So it will be a crew of 2 that will be needed. A lot of councils currently run crews of three people, forming 2 workers, but this will give them the opportunity to work with 2, and therefore take some advantage of the savings. There are health and safety rules that people have to stick to working in the road, so we certainly couldn't drop to a team of 1, unfortunately, so further on. Next question popping through. Prior art cited in the IPO search report in comparison to your design. When we first got our grant funding from Yorkshire Ford, they carried out a full patent search. They were very thorough, came in and interviewed us as well. And they provided us with the results of the patent search. There were machines which did some individual elements of what we were trying to do, but using different methods. But certainly our patent application that's gone in, which is for the system rather than, for example, just the cutting head, is unique. And if you take a look at the back of the business plan, in one of the appendices, you'll see a letter from our patent attorneys, the reputable AA Thorntons of London. They too have carried out searches and have stated to us that it is their understanding that our system is innovative, and therefore they're expecting us to receive the full patent award. Now, this patent award has to be granted, either be granted or not by the Patent Office at some point within, well, just over a year now. So we will be following up with them, making sure that we do everything we can to get that in place as soon as possible. Any other questions? Coming through, okay. I saw someone mention partnerships with sighting organisations. Right, I've been in touch with a few organisations. One of them actually showed showed an awful lot of enthusiasm. Was the Highways Agency that a blog, such like. So we'll be hopefully working with them in the future if we get to this next stage, to make sure that we get great publicity across the industry. I think our marketing strategy has to be one coming at things from all different sides. So having taken some advice from a marketing expert, I've been told that we need to look at this not only from the case of the managers in the high-risk department who may be making budgetary decisions on either which equipment they want to use, what pothole solution they want to use, or alternatively, informing their suppliers through the invitation to tender process what solutions they want their supplier to use. But we also should be trying to appeal as well to the people who go out and actually carry out pothole repairs. So the sort of way in which we do that is through getting articles in newspapers that are regularly read, and trying to make sure that there's pressure coming up from the road crews to see this as being something which will make their life easier. Highways managers think it will save their budget and help them with their lives and with difficult questions that politicians put to them. And also that the politicians think that this is new and innovative and something that they want their local authority to be doing. So one of those ideas which is seen by everybody using an awful phrase as being a no-brainer. Sorry, bear with me a moment. One of the questions is just rolled off the page. I'm just going to scroll the touch. So Alex Richardson's asking, is there a risk that the basic materials companies can easily produce the tarmac blocks and that you won't see the supplies? Well, I mentioned briefly earlier on the system by master naught. The idea with this system is that it's tied in with the machine. Each repair is logged. This helps us in a number of different ways. The blocks that we'll be supplying will each have a barcode on them. The containers of sealants will have barcodes on them. In order for the councils to get the report that they get back, showing them not only the GPS location of the pothole repair, but also the independent date and time stamped repair information so that they can challenge any legal claims, they would have to use our materials. But more so than this, this is something which, if someone were to copy our, start manufacturing our blocks, start aping our system in any way, shape or form, would probably be extremely lucrative for us, because it will be something where we'll be employing our patent attorneys to pursue them. As we are patenting our entire system and not just, for example, the block or the cutting head, this means that we could pursue people who are trying to take advantage and cut us out of it. So the chances are that in the future, what we'd really like to do, that is some way down the line, is have a machine which we could allow the customers to have for a very reasonable value. Most of the profit comes out of the sale of the consumables. This is, if you like, the Kindle model of doing things. So you almost give away the technology and make all of your money from selling the repeated small items as well as cash. Nice. We have another couple of questions, I think. Peter Davison, do you think there is an international market for this product? Undoubtedly, there is an international market for this. It's worth bearing in mind that with some markets are harder to crack than others, and particularly the way we'd like to work this is we do not want to be expanding on our own very rapidly. I think quality can really fall off if you're a small company all of a sudden trying to set up depots in 6 different locations across 3 different countries. So we will be seeking established industry partners, and these will be partners as well where we would expect them to be registered on local authority books, so that they have passed all of the requirements of local authorities to be an approved supplier. So this is something that we can use other established partners to work with. I'd much rather we have a decent cut of a larger slice of pie than 100% of something infinitely smaller. So when this gets out to market, we've got to move quickly, and when we're established, we need to be looking for overseas partners that we can work with, do due diligence on, and establish as people we can work with. So, answered all questions. Anything else from anybody else, please? Yes, actually, we're in the bad position. I think we have a small amount of cash at bank, don't we?
We do.
Yeah.
So we are debt free.
Yes. So we're in a strong position from that point of view. But it's very important to us that we get the message out there about our CrowdCube pitch. We want to raise this funding, and we want to work with an engineering firm with whom we've been in contact to get a pre-production machine out there. So this could be one of these things that we can take to actually show to our potential business partners, our potential customers, get ourselves a client list building up, and get this out there. I think there can be real excitement, real enthusiasm for this. Certainly the council we worked with, they've been pitched to by a number of other people with come forward with their ideas, and these guys, they've given us a lot of time for us to help us refine the concept and come up with something which is going to be very, very interesting for them and for the local authorities. Right. So I think. Oh yes, one final point. You'll see that we were down to the last few days in our pitch. This is being kindly extended by CrowdCube for a number of reasons. We've had a spurt of interest in the last day or so. We've had a few thousand in, which is great news, and also just the delays in carrying out this webinar. We're being extended for a couple of weeks. So please do not only consider investing yourselves. If you have any questions, please do contact us. I shall put up my contact details, email address all the time. And please also do tell friends, associates, and anyone else who you might think may be interested. If you have a contact in a local newspaper, please do tell them. We've had some coverage, but we want more coverage. Right. Well, in that case, we're coming up to the past. I would like to finish these things on time if we can. So I'll thank you all very much indeed for your time. Really do appreciate it, and I hope you will consider investing in our system. So I'll leave the last word to Mike. Thank you very much indeed.